Shiske ni kama niwe peke yako hawishi. Like scrolling through social media and people are having big birthdays, dressing up, and you're the only one who's left behind. Don't worry. My name is Hilda Beth Munene, also known as Online Bestie on my social media platforms, and quarter life crisis happens to the best of us. I was brought up in a not so privileged household, and my parents did their best to put me through high school and campus, and now rightfully so, they expect so much from me, and the pressure can get so overwhelming. And yeah, I'm just here to encourage you guys that it happens to most of us. You're not alone, and it's not a situation that will last forever. It ends, it gets better.
So how I understand it, it's a stage in life where you feel you're stuck. Nothing is working out for you. There's a lot of peer pressure. You feel like you have a lot of questions to answer in your life. Maybe from the community, family, profession. And for me it was, I felt like I was not fitting in from my age group. At the age of 20, I can say most of my friends had started earning, and some of them had moved out from the slum, and I felt like I had been left behind. So what I had to do was to push myself to the limit and re-strategize, and I think that's one of the ways that I was able to sort it out. Yeah.
It's official. We need to recognize and validate the quarter life crisis. This is It's Official with Janet Mbogwa. I'm your host, Janet Mbogwa, and today we're talking about a phenomenon that happens to adults, many of them in their 20s, leading up to their late 20s, let's say till their early 30s. It's called the quarter life crisis. It's said to be a time of immense confusion, anxiety, stress, trying to figure out identity, next steps, and with societal pressures and even social media, it doesn't make it any easier. So we decided to get together with a few of them just to talk a little bit more about how they are navigating the quarter life crisis, if indeed they feel like it exists, and what we can do collectively to help young adults navigate their way through the quarter life crisis. Here's that conversation. Before we listen to that conversation, I'd like to thank our hosts, Pride in Azure, which is where we're filming the next few episodes of It's Official with Janet Mbogwa. We really appreciate their partnership. Their premises are spectacular. You need to come and see them for yourself and enjoy the hospitality. For me, the hospitality has been absolutely beautiful. So thank you, Pride in Azure, for your partnership. You're 23, you're doing great on TikTok, but you still feel like, Nabile, it could be better? Or what is it about? Because quarter life crisis is that thing where you're thinking, I'm in my 20s and it's between 20 and 30 and you feel, I'm a bit stuck. Does that happen to you sometimes?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I don't think it's linear. I have good days.
Yeah.
And trenches days.
The trenches.
Yeah.
I know the trenches well. Naelewa trenches kabisa. Yeah.
So it just depends. But nasikia shida yetu inakuanga tu pesa. Money is the problem.
Because you feel like you need more money to do what you can. Money is never enough.
Yeah, it's never enough.
Okay. What is enough money?
Comfortable living. Okay. Like, I can comfortably afford to get myself nice things.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Some small luxuries of life. I think that's the problem. Like living in a nice place.
Yeah.
Wearing good things, you know, looking nice. Yeah.
But where is that pressure from? Is it, I think, obviously there's a bit of society, but where is that main pressure from? What needs to be removed for that pressure to go?
Will.
You're like, well, I don't know a world without that pressure. Tenafo, I think, I think I went through quarter life crisis. That's why I wanted to have a conversation about, because I started TV when I was 23.
Really?
So imagine you're doing news, you're 23, news was read by people who are maybe 40. And then you can't maybe relate with people in your life because now you're proper grown up. So obviously I'm thankful, it was a privilege. But I think in my late 20s, I was like, I think when I was 27, 26, 27, I felt like crisis doilingia. Because I was coming back, I'd gone to SA, came back to Kenya. You're 27, 28, there was a bit of that thing for, do you need to be settling down? Is this the time to have kids? Is this the time to get married? But I'm not really ready. Am I going to continue TV? It was, I know it sounds like first world problems, but it was very personal. And I think I even ended up getting into a bad relationship because of quarter life crisis. Because I was just like, Ma, I'm 27, turning 28. Kama kuna mtu, let's just do it. Then character development set in very nice and early.
Yeah.
And I think there was also mild depression following that breakup. So I feel like quarter life crisis is you're in your 20s, and I think the world sometimes shows you that you're supposed to be somewhere, and if you're not there, kuna shida. So I don't know whether that's something that now you guys can relate to, family, relationships, finance, whether you just feel stuck sometimes.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Plus, I feel like as we live in a place where the social media world, everyone's doing great. People are moving out. People have cars at 23. Like, breathe.
You're like, that
I
needs
want
to
to
be
breathe.
me.
Yeah. I don't know. This.
Well, for me, it's a bit different. As much as I think social media is playing a very big role in pressuring very many young people. Because, some example, mlimalizana watu shule. You're seeing some are driving. You're not driving. See, that's a very big problem. Mkitana, maybe meet and greet. Others are buying very expensive things. You cannot afford it. So you start questioning yourself. What have I been doing? What did I do wrong? And the moment, for me, I believe when you start questioning yourself, you're becoming a failure. Yeah, you're leading yourself to fail because, one, to lower your self-esteem. And also you see it's quite different depending with where you come from. I remember when I was living in Matare, when I was about 19, 18 Apple. It was all about getting the most beautiful lady. Yeah, it's not in terms of beauty. The ones that have very many piercing, tattoos, blah, blah, blah.
A baddie.
Yeah, yeah. Wenye sasa walijua life mbele yako, you see.
Okay.
Tukapita hiyo stage. Sa hii stage yenye iko, how many kids do you have, you see? You see, it's a bit different. Yeah. And for the ladies in Mtaani, it's a bit different. Are you dating a thief? Are you dating a conductor with the best matatu in the hood, you see? So I think it also depends with the area that you come from. Yeah.
That's really important. Where you come from and your outlook determines what gives you pressure.
Yeah.
Tell us what you do. We know both of you are doing great, but Hilda, tell us a little bit about your TikTok journey and whether that's doing anything to make you feel like, you know what, I'm not doing too badly.
Well, when I started my page, it was initially for fashion content and to teach babes who look like me. I'm a size 12, 14, how to dress their body. I'm a pear-shaped. Yeah, that was the main focus of my page. I don't know how it grew to a motivational page. Just depends on what people came to ask me in the DMs and whatever. Yeah. So far, I don't know if it did good or bad because the comments at times can be really oof. I don't know. Like yesterday, I woke up to 700 comments, which were all trolls.
Wow.
I kid you not. And I'm like, Anywho, so at times I feel like I'm not doing the best. But then when I read some DMs, I'm like, oh, maybe I should get up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
How do you deal with the trolls? 'Cause, I mean, that's hard. You know, for some of us who've done it forever, it's not easy. How do you navigate your way out of trolls getting to you, getting to your self-esteem?
Yeah, I won't lie. When it started, they used to get to me. They really did. Because I never understand, like, what's the point of being mean? It didn't make sense. Anywho. So at this point, I just...
You just take it.
So,
Okay.
what do we do?
It
You're watching
hardens
me.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does what is happening in the country also, do you feel, I mean, you know, everybody's been, a lot of people have known Gen Z,
Yeah.
are smart, are ahead of your time. now it's the biggest term that's been used in Kenya. Gen Z saved Kenya, Gen Z spoke, but is there a certain pressure around expectation, or what do you feel like when you're looking at everything that's happening around you with Reject Finance Bill, etc.? Is it discouraging? Is it encouraging? Given that technically you guys really like lifted that clarion call, but what are your thoughts and views on everything that's going on around us? Mutua is almost like, wacha onge kwanza, as I marinate my thoughts. Sawa Hilda. Whatever you're comfortable saying, obviously it's quite a broad topic.
I don't know. Number one, I'm really proud to be a Gen Z at this point. Like, yeah, can't tear gas somebody. But I'm sorry, I'm running a cold.
Yeah.
I don't know. This situation had me proud when it started, and then emotionally drained. Apo katikati, especially doing like the Tuesday thing. But I don't know, from my point of view, it just seems simple. Like, just reduce the budget. Listen to us. I don't know. I think it portrays what happens even in like the workplaces. Like the boomers, sorry to say, are like dominant there. They don't want to listen to us. I don't know. We just feel, yeah, it was just a way for us to let go. Yeah.
To get it off your chest and
Yeah.
to show up that you can take us seriously. We can lead. We can
We
make
can,
decisions.
please. We are not just babies who
Yeah.
are, yeah, it was our time to shine.
To shine. Do you feel the same way? What did it show you about your generation?
For me, I've attended several protests. Uzuri sijaishikwa, and I always try not to. So I feel the Gen Z wameamka kidogo. Now they understand what's happening in the country. And this thing of tribalism, I think it's coming to an end. Because I remember when the poster was made for us to attend the protest, the Tuesday one first, it didn't have such a huge number because people wanted to see like who will turn up. Why are people talking about the finance bill? Now these young people took it to social media to explain to each other what's happening, you see? And I feel for those who have KRA pins when you are independent, they felt the pinch, like itafika mahali, I want to be able to afford some things. So the second one, the turn up was so serious. I remember some young men and ladies came to my place and they told us, "Let's try to engage parliament. Tuone wase ukulaga nini." Like it was a bit messy, man. I've never seen what I saw that day. Because I remember when we arrived at the parliament, gunshots everywhere. I didn't lingia kwa mtaro. So it was a bit messy, but people were so courageous. I remember my friends picking me up kutoka kwa mtaro. Tuingie, me I was like, no, hapo. I think history inajirudia, you see? Tunapata the real mau sasa. These people have to listen to these young people because they can't run the country the way they want to, you see? Because itafika mahali, najua corruption inajirudia. If you look at those allowances, man, zingine hadi unachoka jo, you see? Yeah.
Okay. What are some of the signs of a quarter-life crisis?
Confusion. Remember, you're coming from a period of being a teenager, which is confusing at itself, you know? And now, being a teenager, you're pale pa adult, you're a child, and everyone sees you as such. But now you're over 18, and then you'll be seen as an adult. You know you should know what to do. So you're in this confused state that you're expected to know what you do and not know what to do, you know? You're very confused, in short. And with quarter life crisis, developmentally, you have two stages. You're either you're looking for intimacy, or umejitenga. That is like, what you call it? Seclusion. And that is why it's very important at this age that friendships, relationships, career-wise, you know, it's very important. And people in this stage are usually want to have this great like connection with a lot of people. Like you can tell even when he was talking about mabeshte wangu walikuja, si moja, hajataja moja, you know, and you want to please people, or umejitenga, no, because you were betrayed at some point, you know, or even childhood traumas, because they will follow you, and this is the stage that was inaonekana sana. And before you're 24, your prefrontal context haija grow, haija develop. So decisions that you keep making are not the right decisions for you until you're above 26 kwenda juu. That is why you find, okay, this stage is from 18 to 34, around there. But then from people from 26 kwenda juu are more grounded. They know what to do. They do not care about the people who are not there for them, like friendships, you know, they have meaningful friendships. And things like relationships zilikuwa zinawasumbua at the time they were 22 don't matter anymore. You know? And I keep telling my clients when you're your age, don't worry too much. Usifikiria sana about, I love him, I love her. Focus on your career first, because by the time you're 22 utakuwa unashanga, sasa hizo ni nini nilikuwa nafanya, you know? So confusion, wanting to relate and wanting relationships and friendships, intimacy is what drives them.
Can you guys relate to anything that she said that has stood out imekushika personally in terms of you can relate to it? Anything you want to respond to from what she said?
Confusion.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know, there's a lot of uncertainty
Yeah.
around this. Like, I can tell you for sure I've changed jobs a couple of times. I've trained dance, I've been a social media manager, created content. There's a lot of, what can I do? This is not right, I don't know. Confusion is real, best believe.
Yeah. And for you?
Kwa relationships hapo, it's a bit serious. Remember when I quitted my relationship, ilifika mahali nikaanza ile kureason like, what are you helping me with? No. You're not giving me a push of me for me to be better, you see? So I felt it was, I was looking for the looks just to fit in. So I had to quit it. Yeah. Kama, safari ni yangu peke yangu. Till now, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think can make you start to, okay, for you, like, for example, Hilda, in your case, you're saying, okay, I'm changing around. What do you think you need to see or hear that will make you feel like this is the way I need to go? Is there a sort of validation or certain resources or information that might help you make a better decision, or what do you think needs to happen for you to shift there?
I think I just stick on some things. Money is the biggest motivation. What I'd really like to do is create, but creating also needs money behind it. Like, and that's the luxury, let me say, I can't, quote unquote, cannot afford at the moment. So I have to like take on everything that comes so that I can fund
What it is you do.
this.
Do you want to respond to what Mutua and Hilda have said in terms of, she's talking about, you know, that confusion of different jobs to go towards a life that she wants. He's talking about, so you've put pause on relationships right now.
Yeah.
We shan't be a public, you're single. That's a nice up to you. What I respond. But you want to be in a relationship. It would be ideal for you.
Yes, it's
It's okay. So what are your thoughts, just, you know, hearing it come from them, and what maybe you can, what resource you can share, not just for them, but for a lot of people who might be seeking?
So for Hilda, I would say, we all have these skills that we are born with. Alafu, there are those things that we love to do. You've said that you want to create, Cindy. Yeah. So it's not a bad thing that you're confused about your career, by the way. You're still young. You are. Okay. Hakuna time limit kwa hiyo. There's no pressure. You know, you just have to find what you like, and it's a good thing that you've identified what you like. Are you good at it? That's very important. You know, are you good at it? Because you might be delusional. But I'm not saying you're delusional.
I can get it.
You know, you might be, because no, you're not. You know, I'm just saying, like, are you good at it? That's what's most important. And each and every skill that we are born with is meant to give you money. without using a lot of effort. You know, these are things that we do as hobbies. Uko home, you're knitting, you know, it's like a therapy thing for you. But then whatever you knit, you'll make money out of it, you know. These are things that are not supposed to make you feel tired, usiboeke, and creating is that for you, you know. But at the same time, create, usikose create because you're worried about the money itakuja. People see your content, put it out there. You know, maybe you can teach me one or two things.
Yeah.
You know,
Say she teaches a TikTok
yes.
for this, but she might be like, no pressure. No
you can
pressure.
teach people and you can charge. Kitu kidogo tu, it's a service. And service is very expensive, by the way, you should know that. It's very expensive. So don't be confused. Or even when you're confused, why find a change you're supposed to do at that moment? Are you doing your best? Is whatever you're doing legal? You know? You might get something else that you might be interested in afterwards through those vitu kidogo tu yenye unafanya. But then don't stay in a place that you're feeling uncomfortable. Job, because you might think, oh, nikitoka huku sasa mtu atakula nini? But then what is that doing for you to your mental health? Understand?
I actually feel like this demographic have been better than us at living when it's no longer serving you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wengine wanajikaza. But there's a self-awareness that I feel. Maybe Hilda and Mutua don't see it, but you see it, I see it, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, at 23, okay, I was telling them 23 I had started being a news anchor, but I still didn't have that in-depth self-analysis to say, is it serving me? Is it something that I'm growing, whatever it is? And I think that's the greatest gift that Gen Z have.
Oh my
is
God.
self-awareness.
Yes.
But I know at the same time, there's that element of, there's so much noise from the world, right? Social media, every day, there's all these platforms telling you something, showing you something. So I think even with her, we're not trying to therapize. I think we're just trying to understand even how community or society can show up better for you guys. Can even walk with you better when you feel like you're stuck. I don't know whether that's something that sometimes you're like, your friends and family, do they understand what you're going through? Does community confuse you? Friends and family, do they confuse you? Where you feel alone, or do you feel like, what else do you think that we need to do? How can society show up better for you guys to help you navigate these stages of relationships, job? What do you think we can do to show up better for you?
Me, I think family, community, they need to be supportive with what you decide. They don't need to have a lot of questions of like, why did you choose this? Like, I can give you a good example. When I quitted law for art, there was a lot of questions. Like, you don't want to make a lot of money. Don't you think this is the right thing to do? You'll regret, you see. Sasa naona ikafika mahali, I had to seclude everyone, be alone, like decide so that I can push myself and prove them wrong, you see. Sometimes we do things we don't want to because of the pressure from outside. If they decide to support us, then I think things would be a bit different. Yeah.
And where do you draw the line? He's made a good point. They say
good
sometimes in order to elevate, you have to isolate. But where is that thin line between making a decision that is good for them? They know. He knew, and as a graffiti artist who's doing it, he knew this is something I want to do, but the family is like, what are you doing? So how can you speak to the community around them? Where's that thin line? What would you say to a mom or dad right now who's trying to navigate that stage with their son or daughter, or friend or uncle or auntie?
That's a very good question, because society norms, especially in Africa, you know, you're either meant to be a lawyer, doctor, engineer, you know. Others zinakuanga tu as others, which is very important. You need communication. I keep saying this over and over again. You will communicate in a very calm manner, respectfully. Don't forget that, because kuna venye unaweza mwambia it's your mom or your dad, and then, you know, it's going to blow up. Respectfully communicate. Try to let them see from your point of view. Some will understand. We are not putting past it. Some will understand, some will not. Some people get disowned by their parents because they are not becoming who they want them to become. But then at the end of the day, You might be forced to become a lawyer out a practice because that's not what you want to be. That was your father's dream, your mother's dream, your family's dream, you know. So communicate very well, but at the same time, don't forget about who you are.
What about for the parents who need, what can you guide? How can you guide parents, friends, partners, let's say community, to understand, for example, what he said? So if somebody goes up to somebody who's watching right now, is maybe a boomer or Xer, and then they have a child or nephew who's saying, I don't want to do law, I want to do art. How can we better equip our age group to understand and communicate? Given that there's that thin line of, we still know what's good for you, but we also know, what tools can we use to support?
Most things that we should do is psychoeducate. You do a lot of psychoeducation on ground, and then you teach them that times have changed, and you come with evidence. You don't just say times have changed without evidence. There's so much that, you know, the resources that we get from internet, Nini, you know, you can use even people from other parts of Kenya. It doesn't have to be someone who is around you, but if you have that person who is around you, you can help, you can use them to reach to your parents, you know, but have the evidence and show them that this can happen, it can change. If it's about money, because for them it's about stability. Most of the parents want you to have these big careers because of the stability, the money that the security money brings, you know. You can teach them, or you can show them, I can even get this money without waiting for end month, because the boomers know about end month money, and if your parents are business people, they also want that security for you. So psychoeducation is key, and evidence.
From both parties.
From both
parties. Because I think also
yes,
we need an education. Also, we need to say times have changed. I'm raising an 8 and 5-year-old now. Like, Gen Z are great. Alpha, I don't know what we're going to do. They are very, 5 and 8, very young, but very aware. So I think I've had to also unlearn and relearn a lot. A lot, yeah. You know, just to understand how a 5-year-old can come and say, no, that's not the right thing. Mom, you can't raise you don't get to talk to people like that. And before you'd be like, Kiboko is also not really working anymore, by the way, as we were raised with it. So I think we also need to educate ourselves. So you guys are still navigating. Maybe I wouldn't call it a crisis. I mean, I know crisis is a big word. And maybe from where I'm sitting, you guys are actually doing pretty well, but I also know the feeling of, that's what you see, that's not how I feel. But how can you talk to other people, young people who are watching this, in terms of how you guys can better express when you're feeling like you're going through a quarter-life crisis? Somebody who's watching right now, Hilda, you do a lot of body positivity content, right? And it's inspired people. So maybe somebody watching is like, Hilda cannot be stuck or confused. She is. But how would you want to reach out to somebody your age who's navigating? What do you want to tell her about her not feeling alone in her confusion? What message do you have for her in terms of, I get it, you're in your 20s, but this is what we can do to get to the next level?
I don't know. The greatest thing I learned is no one knows what they're doing. We are all just, you know, trial and error. It's never that serious. I know your feelings are valid in times of confusion, in terms of stress. I think the greatest thing about being a Gen Z is that we are the awareness, but we tend to feel things so deeply that instead of working towards getting yourself out of a box, you just stay stuck in that box. I think that's the greatest problem with my generation. So the word of encouragement will be, find a community, people who you're actively pushing yourselves to do better, accountability partners. Also surround yourselves with things you want to achieve, like on social media, watch people you'd like, who are inspiring you, read about books that are going to open your mind. I don't know, just don't be stuck in that room. It can get lonely, it can get depressing. get out, find people. Yeah, it gets better. It does. I promise.
That's really good. I love it.
For me, I think first, know your value. Know your value, respect yourself. I think with those, you'll be able to solve a lot of problems. And the key thing, financial discipline. These are the things that will make you navigate through everything you want in this life, yeah.
Anything you want to add, whether to them, whether to...
They are making very good, valid points. I love Gen Zs because they are very self-aware, you know? And having those feelings, msiambiwe, you know, Gen Zs wanaambiwa mko na feelings, everything offends you, you know?
Yeah.
It's okay to have those feelings. You're human, you know? And it's okay to be vulnerable, you know? And don't let people push you into thinking that you're less because you're showing your emotions. It's very important to show your emotions, feel the emotions as they come, sadness, feel anger, but don't stay in that state of sadness, because now that's how depression creeps in. Meaningful relationships and friendships, reading the books, looking for a skill. You might not even know that you can draw, but siku moja uende tu, you know, there are many types of drawing, portraits, cartoon, and then you can get money, because at the end of the day, money is the motivator, you know. Plus, it's going to be very therapeutic for you. It's very important to understand who you are and what works for you. You don't have to stay in a relationship or in a friendship that you're feeling used because alikusaidia siku fulani, alikutoa kwa mtaro, you know? Yeah. I'm not saying that you're friend, just an example. So create those relationships, know what you want, follow your dreams. Don't put yourself in a box, be bold.
This has also given me insights. Like I'm always learning, and then it's not good to assume how life was for me in my 20s is the same as how it is for people in their 20s now. But I think you guys are onto something. The two of you. I know there's a lot of other 20-something-year-olds who are also amazing. But and I know it sounds weird when somebody, because you just said it gets better. It actually does. And sometimes it can get hard before it gets better. And I think that's where people are like, this is it. Nikubaya. But I know I've come out of the other side of character development. And I keep telling people character development will either make you sink or swim. So you have to ask yourself in that moment, what is this teaching me, as opposed to how much is this breaking me? So if you tell yourself, hey, this life and this whatever, confusion, this relationship, this job, what did that teach me, man? Because if you don't look at it that way, I feel like it can take you to a very dark place. And even if you do go to a dark place, because I think people do, it's what I think you've all said. You can actually find a way out if you have the community, the right people around you. But it does get better. It gets better. I think the scam is that you get to a certain age and there's nothing left for you. And I keep telling people, the older you get, the more comfortable you become with yourself. By the time you're hitting late 30s, 40, it's very hard for anybody to tell you anything. Because you're like, it's a scam. So you guys are doing good. I just want to encourage you. I think, you know, if I'm speaking to Hilda and Mutua, you guys are doing good. Yeah, and I just really want to wish you the best. Keep motivating people. You do it through TikTok. You do it through your graffiti and the art you do. And yeah, I'm only hoping, wishing you the best. And we'd love you to come back with other people later on. I'd love to have a bigger conversation about this with a lot of other younger people and figure out how to give people the tools to hope again.
Okay.
I hope you've enjoyed yourselves.
No, I did.
So, today's conversation has highlighted the complexities within the quarter-life crisis. Hilda and Mutua have spoken to various aspects of it, from work to relationships, and Wangui was able to kind of bring it home to say, you know what, it's not an isolated feeling. In fact, so many people are going through it. The idea, though, is to not get stuck in the state of confusion, which can then lead into depression, anxiety, and more. That's when you really need to seek help and counsel. For the rest of us, though, how can we stand with young adults as they're navigating the quarter-life crisis? Communication, hearing each other, understanding the changing times. It's a learning curve for each and every one of us. So Thank you to our guests for highlighting these issues. And remember, it's okay to feel uncertain as long as you're able to navigate your way out of it. Thank you as well for being with us here on It's Official with Janet Mbogwa. Continue to engage with us on social media, and we'll see you back here very soon.